This winter has been a season of extremes, and what's coming over the next 10 days might be the most dramatic chapter yet. Right now, on this Sunday morning, February 8, 2026, the eastern United States is locked in the grip of the coldest air mass of the entire season. Wind chills are hitting 40 to 45 below zero across upstate New York. Millions of people from Maine to Virginia are under extreme cold warnings. But here's the twist that makes the next week and a half so extraordinary. By tomorrow afternoon, just 24 hours from now, parts of the Central Plains will be shattering high temperature records with readings in the 60s and 70s. That kind of temperature contrast across the same country at the same time is almost hard to comprehend, and it tells you everything about how distorted and volatile this winter pattern has become. On top of that, a confirmed stratospheric warming event is actively splitting the polar vortex as we speak. A major storm system is delivering desperately needed moisture to the Pacific Northwest, and mid-February signals are pointing toward renewed winter storm potential that could impact major population centers from coast to coast. This is your full forecast breakdown for February 8th through the 17th. By the way, if you'd like specific weather forecasts for your region or city, please leave them in the comments. I'll answer them individually as time allows. Also, if you like the video and subscribe to my channel, you'd be very grateful. Now, let's move on. Let's start with what's happening right now because this Arctic outbreak is the real deal. The displaced polar vortex has been pumping cold air into the eastern United States for weeks, and this weekend represents the peak intensity. Extreme cold warnings and wind chill advisories cover a massive area from the Great Lakes through the Ohio Valley, Mid-Atlantic, and the entire Northeast. The National Weather Service warned that this would be a significant Arctic outbreak with record-breaking cold possible, and that is exactly what's being delivered. Here is the Sunday morning City BYC City breakdown for the Northeast. Albany, New York is ground zero with wind chills reported near 40 to 45 below zero this morning. At those levels, frostbite develops on exposed skin in under 10 minutes. Burlington, Vermont is seeing 35 to 40 below. Portland, Maine runs 30 to 40 below. Buffalo and Rochester sit at 30 to 35 below. Syracuse is at 25 to 30 below. Boston is enduring wind chills of 20 to 25 below, making this one of the coldest mornings the city has seen in years. Hartford and Providence are running 15 to 25 below. New York City, despite the urban heat island, is seeing wind chills of 10 to 15 below, with actual temperatures in the single digits. An extreme cold warning remains in effect for the city through this afternoon. Philadelphia wakes up to wind chills of 5 to 15 below. Washington, D.C. hovers near zero for wind chills. Pittsburgh sits at 15 to 20 below. Across the Mid-Atlantic, record low maximums and record low minimums are possible today, with temperatures running 20 to 30 degrees or more below normal. This is early February, already the climatological coldest window of the year, so departures this large are genuinely extreme. The Southeast is feeling the bite, too. Charlotte dropped into the mid-teens overnight. Raleigh is in the upper teens. Atlanta is hovering around the low to mid-20s, cold enough to keep pipes at risk. Nashville sits near 20 degrees. Memphis is in the mid-20s. Even Jacksonville, Florida is seeing temperatures flirt with freezing, capping off a January and February stretch that brought cold, stunned iguanas and shattered records set decades ago across the Sunshine State. Now, let me show you the other side of this incredible pattern, because the temperature contrast is staggering. While the east shivers, a massive ridge is building across the nation's midsection and is about to deliver one of the most remarkable warm spells in recent memory. By Monday afternoon, February 9th, temperatures across the Central Plains will be running 35 to 45 degrees above normal. Here are the Monday forecasts for the Heartland. Omaha and Lincoln, Nebraska are looking at mid to upper 60s, shattering daily records. Des Moines pushes into the low 60s. Sioux Falls, South Dakota could touch 60, which is absolutely absurd when the average high is in the mid-20s. Kansas City climbs toward the upper 60s. Minneapolis surges into the 50s after enduring one of its coldest stretches in years, averaging more than 15 below normal through much of January. St. Louis approaches the mid-60s. Further south, it gets even wilder. Oklahoma City and Dallas-Fort Worth push into the mid to upper 70s. Southern Texas and Arizona flirt with 80. These warm readings will bring critical fire weather conditions across parts of southeast Wyoming, western Nebraska, and northeast Colorado, where low humidity and gusty winds create dangerous conditions. This warmth sustains through the week, gradually pressing eastward. By Wednesday and Thursday, even the battered northeast starts to thaw. New York City should climb into the low to mid-30s by Wednesday and approach the upper 30s by Thursday. Boston follows a similar trajectory. Philadelphia pushes toward 40 by late week. The NWS Climate Prediction Center's outlook for February 12th through 18th shows above-average temperatures likely across most of the country, with only the West Coast expected to run below normal. For the East, this will feel like a different universe after Sunday morning. Turning to the West, a legitimate pattern change is underway. The stubborn ridge that dominated all winter has finally cracked. Salt Lake City has recorded just 0.1 in of snow for the season, nearly 33 and below average. Colorado is tracking toward its worst snowpack on record. A deep trough is delivering a fire hose of Pacific moisture into the Pacific Northwest this weekend. Seattle and Portland are seeing steady rain with 2 to 4 inches of total rainfall expected through early next week. Eugene and Medford catch heavy rain as well. The Cascades are getting hammered with feet of snow in the higher passes. The northern Rockies across Idaho, western Montana, and northwest Wyoming are seeing significant mountain snow pile up. British Columbia and the Yukon are getting buried. By Tuesday and Wednesday, a secondary system slides south into California. The NWS Weather Prediction Center noted this feature has trended stronger with 50 to 80% probabilities for over 6 in of snow across the length of the Sierra Nevada. Snow levels around 5, 0 to 7, 0 FT will deliver substantial snowpack additions. San Francisco and Sacramento see rain arriving midweek. Los Angeles and even San Diego could see some rainfall. Denver, which has had a painfully dry winter, might finally get some snow as energy swings through the Rockies around Wednesday. The NOAA outlook for February showed above normal precipitation favored across the northern Rockies and parts of the Pacific Northwest. And that's exactly what's materializing. Now, let's dig into the midweek period of February 10th through 14th. This is where the pattern transitions and storm systems begin to develop along the temperature gradient between the retreating Arctic air and the advancing warmth. The WPC extended forecast shows an upper-level low shifting into the southern plains by Tuesday, with precipitation across the south-central U.S. through Wednesday and light snow in parts of the northeast. A second trough dives down the west coast late week, potentially sparking a more significant system heading toward Valentine's Day weekend. Here's the city-by-city outlook for this midweek system. Dallas, Fort Worth, Little Rock, Memphis, Nashville, and Louisville see rain and thunderstorms with a marginal severe weather threat. Chicago, Indianapolis, Detroit, and Cleveland sit in the transition zone. Milwaukee, Green Bay, and Minneapolis are on the snow side. Buffalo, Syracuse, Albany, and northern New England could see light accumulations for Valentine's Day weekend. This is a low confidence, but high impact setup. If the system develops, snow and ice could stretch from the Midwest through the Ohio Valley and Northeast with rain to the south. Washington, D.C., where February is historically the snowiest month, could add to its totals. New York City and Philadelphia are in the potential impact zone again. Now, let me explain what's driving all of this. A confirmed sudden stratospheric warming event is unfolding right now with temperature anomalies of 40 degrees Celsius, above normal at the 10 millibar level. Ensemble data indicates the polar vortex will likely split into two lows around February 15th. A powerful MJO wave is simultaneously acting as a counterforce, temporarily shielding the eastern U.S. from the full vortex collapse. That's why we see warming next week, even as the stratosphere falls apart. But the MJO interference is forecast to dissipate by late February. The latest ECMWF ensemble guidance already shows a pattern reversal with colder air returning to the northern and eastern states by the last third of February. For the February 15th through 17th window, here's the full city outlook. The Northeast sees temperatures moderating toward near normal levels. New York City runs highs in the low to mid-30s, with lows in the teens to 20s. Boston is similar. Buffalo and Syracuse hover in the mid to upper 20s for highs. Albany struggles to reach 30. Philadelphia and D.C. sit in the mid-30s to low 40s. These aren't brutal readings, but they represent the calm before the pattern potentially flips colder again as we head toward the third week. The Midwest runs above normal during this stretch. Chicago sees highs in the mid-30s to low 40s. Detroit and Cleveland are similar. Minneapolis and Milwaukee sit in the upper 20s to mid-30s, well above what they've been enduring. Indianapolis pushes into the upper 30s. The Southeast stays mild. Atlanta runs in the mid-50s to low 60s. Charlotte and Raleigh sit in the upper 40s to mid-50s. Nashville reaches the mid-40s to low 50s. Houston, New Orleans, and Jacksonville enjoy the 60s to low 70s. The West runs cooler than recent weeks as the trough persists. Seattle and Portland hover in the low to mid-40s with continued rain. San Francisco stays in the 50s. Denver drops into the 30s and 40s. Salt Lake City runs in the 30s, but at least the precipitation is arriving. Boise stays cold. The snowfall picture for this February 8th through 17th stretch breaks down by region. The western mountains finally receive the snowfall they've been starved of, with multi-foot totals in the Cascades, Sierras, and northern Rockies. The Great Lakes and Northeast continue their above-normal snow season with clipper-driven accumulations and potential for a larger organized storm around Valentine's Day. The upper Midwest sits in prime position for accumulating snow from multiple systems. The southern tier stays predominantly rain. The I-80, I-90, I-94 corridor remains the highest risk travel zone for blowing snow and whiteouts. This winter refuses to quit, and the next 10 days are a perfect snapshot of why. Record cold and record warmth in the same country at the same time. A polar vortex splitting in half above our heads. A drought-stricken West catching a lifeline. And mid-February storm signals that could produce headlines. Stay ahead of it, and I'll be right here breaking it.